A very good evening and warm welcome to this 95th WiseViews Leadership Conversation, ladies and gentlemen and good friends who have joined. We are extremely happy to see you once again. It is my great pleasure to also welcome our leader and speaker this evening. Please join me in welcoming Pops, who is also known as KV Sridhar. Welcome, sir.
Thank you. Thank you.
Usually you are introduced that you are Mr. KV Sridhar and also known as Pops. But so long you have been in the industry as a veteran, I think everyone calls you Pops, and they suddenly discover that you are also known as KV Sridhar. So I will stick to that line. Thank you so much, sir, for agreeing to speak with us. I will make a brief introduction and then hand it over back to you for your session. Right, I will share my screen. These are WiseViews Leadership Conversations, and Fridays 6:30 p.m. is the standard time. It is called IST or ICFAI Standard Time for these online sessions. We have finished 94 and this is the 95th every Friday uninterrupted. This Friday now we are going to talk about why should organizations, individuals and brands have purpose, and this conversation will be held by Mr. KV Sridhar. We are extremely happy to have him. Broadly 20 minutes of talk and then 40 minutes of Q&A. That's the schedule. Let me introduce Pops. This is a brilliant picture of Pops actually. Wonderful. He is currently the Global Chief Creative Officer of Nihilent Limited and also Founder and Chief Creative Officer of Hyper Collective. He is an experienced founder working at the intersection of creativity and technology, with a demonstrated history of working in the marketing, advertising, and technology industries. Skilled in advertising, concept development, digital marketing, experience design, content creation, art direction, and creative strategy, all extremely important subdomains of work in the creative world. Mr. Sridhar has spent close to 45 years in advertising and has always emphasized on the importance of learning. From the era of black and white print ads and radio jingles to using consumer data and artificial intelligence to understand consumers better, Pops has actually straddled all the worlds of advertising and communication. Pops is one of the most respected creative leaders in the Indian advertising world and has been the driving force behind several international awards, including 22 Cannes Lions. This is very, very big. He was the Chief Creative Officer India at Sapient Nitro. He was also Chief Creative Officer India Subcontinent at Leo Burnett, Executive Creative Director at Lowell Lintas, Chaitra Leo Burnett, and also worked in key roles as Creative Director at Lintas India Enterprise, JWT Bangalore, and Alka Hyderabad. He was a part of many awards juries, including Cannes, One Show, D&D, New York Festivals, London Festivals, AdFest, and A-lister Hollywood Awards. Many awards. He won a record 23 Cannes Lions, over 100 international and 300 Indian awards, honored with New York Festival's Creative Achievement Award in 2010. He was also inducted into the Hall of Fame of Asian Advertising and Marketing Legends last 40 years by Campaign Asia. This is amazing, amazing profile, and I'm not done yet. He has built some of the world's most well-known national and global brands such as Coca-Cola, Thumbs Up, Limca, Bajaj Auto, McDonald's, LG, HDFC Life, Unilever, P&G, Marico, Nestle, GM, Colors, Fiat, Fair & Lovely, Whisper, Tide, Jet Airways, DHFL, Mazda, Minute Maid, and Samsung, at some of India's most renowned agencies like Ulka Advertising, Hyderabad, JWT Bangalore, Enterprise Advertising, Lintas, Lowell, Leo Burnett, and Publicis-owned Sapient Nitro. Awesome, sir. One important note, Mr. Sridhar is a strong arts and design professional with a BSc focused in BCZ. It is called Botany, Chemistry, and Zoology in this part of the country, and he studied this from Osmani University, Vivek Vardhani in Hyderabad. Thank you very much, sir. This is an amazing profile. We are really blessed to have you on our leadership conversations, sir, once again. I'll take just one more moment to introduce my colleague, Professor Prasad. He is currently the professor and course mentor for the online MBA program, which we launched a year back. He brings with himself a rich experience of 3 decades as an entrepreneur, as a corporate professional, and an academic leader, all put together. He holds a BTech in Electronics and Communication Engineering from IIT Bombay and a PGDM from IIM Kolkata. He published several articles, edited books, and also presented papers in various conferences, both in India and abroad. I welcome Professor Prasad as well.
Thank you.
I'll stop sharing my screen with this, and we are all ready to listen to you, sir. Pops, kindly start your session. Over to you.
Thank you, Sudhakar Garu and Prasad Garu. I think Sudhakar has his introduction is more than the time I would take to talk about purpose. So thank you for being very kind and generous in your introduction. It's all advertising and nobody believes in advertising. Okay, that's don't believe all the things which you read out. I'm going to share my screen. I mean, coming to what we are able to discuss today is the very purpose of existence of anything, be it a company, be it a brand, be it you being an individual. There must be a reason why you should exist. And the purpose of existence, some of us will find it very early. Like Tendulkar found his purpose at the age of 12 or 13. Hussein found his purpose post his 70s. It does not matter when you find it, but most of us will find a purpose of existence during a long journey of this life. So what I'm going to say and then show is not big theory or complicated slides and complex graphs. I believe everything starts with human beings and ends with human beings. And then we all understand, how do we connect with each other? How do we communicate with each other? We don't need, unless, we are influenced by McKinsey and Bains of the world. So we don't need difficult vocabulary to really express what needs to be done. I believe life teaches everything. So for any complex problem, you turn to life, and then life gives you answers. For any kind of issue or a problem, whether you are a coder working on a complex algorithm, so you go back to your life and try and then see you will find a solution in that. If you're a entrepreneur and then you have an issue, so you go back to your own life and then you find an answer to that. And if you see all the successful businesses, they all come from individuals who believed in something, and then they believed that that was their rallying call, be it Dhirubhai Ambani or J.R.D. Tata or Aziz Premji, to anyone. We all find our calling and then we pursue that. Be it business, be it at everyday life, or be it anything which we do. So therefore, everything starts with you. So it is you as a leader, as a individual, as anything. All of us, we are the consequence of what we do, and what we do is a reflection of who you are. You cannot interchange those two. How do you really form to be you is a consequence of your upbringing, a consequence of the values which you imbibe from your family, from your school, and from your neighborhood, and also from what you read and learn, and then the people with whom you interact. None of that is rocket science. That molds your character. Why should it be any different to a brand or an organization? They also are a consequence of how they behave in the market, what they learn from their neighborhood, and what values they possess is a reflection of their value is perceived by people. We all connect with each other, form a great relationship on common shared values. We may be in a class of 30 people, and then not all 30 or 29 of them will be your best friends. You may have one or two as your best friends. Why one or two people resonate with you much more than rest of 27 or 28? Because there are certain shared values between you and them. And then therefore, you form a little bond, maybe music, the way you think, the family background, something which bonds you. And then that bond turns out to be a greater relationship between you two. And that's the reason why our best friends forever, You never lose them, and then they will never lose you. You may not interact every day. The same thing goes with your brands. They resonate with people who share similar values. And then we resonate with brands who share similar values. And then we think that our mother, our sisters, our wife, and then our daughters are the most beautiful women we know in our life. There can't be anyone who is more beautiful than your mother, your daughter, your wife. If you believe so, then that is what the belief, even Tao brings in. That's the same values Tao shares with you. So therefore, you have a relationship based on shared values. That relationship lasts longer. The more it lasts, the more loyalty it is in the relationship. The same loyalty gets converted into business. So everything starts with you, and then the kind of values which you set for yourself, and then the kind of relationship which you want to have with your family, or with your consumers, or with prospective consumers, society, uh, whatever it may be. It all based on simple human truths, the things um, which we live every day. And if you were to find similarities between the corporate problems with your personal problems, they are identical. We have seen that our mothers are best managers of money when you have low budget. Why do they hide money in all kinds of things in the kitchen and then bring them out as and when the family needs it? And exactly the same thing was proven, that women leaders have actually better leaders during the economic slowdown, during COVID, when companies got affected, because they have an applied common sense. They go back to their life. What would they do as a mother of 5 children, or 4 children, or 10 family members? Exactly, they do to a company with 5,000 people or 5 lakh people. There is no difference. So why should there be any difference? Because the same thing gets multiplied. You cannot, and you cannot afford to say that, okay, I don't have enough money, I will boot out my child. I can't bear, I cannot feed 3 children. Let me feed only two. One, I will throw him out. You cannot say that. So why do we actually go back and then sack 1,000 people, 2,000 people, 5,000 people, when your profits are soaring at one end? So it is all about values, which you place, and then what you do, and then how do you manage. So you can never cut the cost. You can only increase your income, because exactly the lesson which we learn in our life. You cannot, if you have to eat, you have to eat. You need clothing, you need clothing. Your children need education, they need education. Certain expenses are there. And then we, as human beings, we try and then do everything to really, balance that. There's nothing different with organizations. There's absolutely nothing different with brands. It's just one-to-one communication. That's what today's communication is all about. You're not talking to many. You are not even talking many to many. You're talking to one-to-one. There is no many which exist. Mass customization does not exist anymore. That was the mantra 10, 15, or 20 years back. And then there is nothing, it's one-to-one. So it all starts with human beings, ends with human beings. If you understand the human behavior, if you think like human, act like human, you will find solutions to solve human problems. And that's the biggest mantra. And then the reason why people exist is what a great purpose is all about. And then probably, this is the question which even Sudhakar asked me. You must clarify what is the difference between a vision, mission, and a purpose. Correct? Vision is what you aim to do. Mission is how are you going to accomplish that? Positioning is how are you different from others? Purpose is why do you exist? So classical thing of what, how, and then why. What do you do is the premise of your enterprise, your business, or your profession, or your mission. And then how do you do it is the process. Why do you do it's the real reason for you to exist. So if you question why you are doing what you are doing, if Tata Chemicals says that I produce Tata salt with iron and iodine, and then how do you do it? What do you do is producing that, and how do you do is to really make it really pure and healthy. And then why you do it? Because you wanted to eradicate the iron and iodine deficiency in the country. And it is the second largest project this country has ever taken after polio. And it takes a company like Tata to say that it is not only that, I will include iodine as a product differentiator and then sell the salt at a better price. They went on to say that no, our mission is to eradicate iron and iodine deficiency. And then they went on to do that. And that's the reason why when they say that Tata salt is Desh ka namak, and then people believe it. And it has a purpose to serve in people's life. If there is no iodine deficiency, my child will be smarter. So therefore, people want to use it. It is absolutely nothing different from somebody to have a mission. Somebody takes on a mission of saying that I will plant 1 lakh trees in my life span. That's a purpose he was born with, and that's a mission which he wanted to accomplish. Why is he doing that? That I want the next generations to be happier, to be of pollution free, and then to really have all the necessary things like oxygen, water to survive. And then somebody whose life purpose is to continue the life after his own term. So that's something which makes us feel, and then that's what motivates us to do what we do.
จะได้อะไรถ้าเขาทำแบบนี้ทุกวันมันจะไม่ได้อะไรเลยไม่ได้รวยขึ้นไม่ได้ออกทีวีไม่มีใครรู้จักได้มีชื่อเสียงที่มากขึ้นเพราะสิ่งที่เขาได้คือได้แค่ความรู้สึกได้เห็นความสุขได้เข้าใจได้ความรักได้ในสิ่งที่เงินซื้อไม่ได้ในโลกที่สวยงามกว่านั้น ชีวิตคุณ อะไรคือสิ่งที่คุณต้องการมากที่สุด
ไทยประกันชีวิตเชื่อในความดี
So basically, it's just what starts with you. You want to do something. It's just a personal life which has been portrayed there of a person, and that's where everything starts. How do you connect with people? What do you do? Why do you do it? And how you describe yourself and your role in your uh, family. What are you going to do for yourself? What are you going to do for your family? And then we all know what we want to do for our family. But if you want to have a greater and greater purpose, you start thinking about what can I do for the community? And then it goes that what can I do to the society? And then it goes, what can I do to the humanity? That is where the impact will be much higher. Does not mean that everybody must go through that, but that's a ladder. People have higher purpose. They're far more motivated to achieve that through whatever means it might be. There are NGOs, who start doing things. There are people who, as I said, somebody who wanted to plant 1 lakh trees, or Narayan Murthy who wanted to make more people richer, or somebody else who wanted to do something else, because all these are going beyond you, your family, into the community, society, and then make an impact on humanity. So same thing goes with brand. What is brand? What am I? What am I going to do? What is my existence? And then from a very self-centered me as a brand, you start thinking about the other things, as I said, the entire ladder. Let me show you another example how it transcends from being a brand talking versus a brand behaving with the outside world. So it's just Coke is a brand, it cannot promise that it's not a magical drink. You drink and then you'll be happy. You drink, you get transformed to something else. Nothing happens, but something happens inside you. That is what is the magic about Coca-Cola. It does not promise you anything, and then you feel, and then you actually promote that value to other people. And what is Coca-Cola? If you wait to see what is the purpose of Coca-Cola's existence, Coca-Cola's existence is to be optimistic about the world, spread the joy, spread the happiness. How do you spread the happiness? We all know that laughter is the most infectious thing. If somebody laughs and then everybody laughs, And then how are you spreading the joy? By a simple act of smiling. So that is what worth talking about, not the magical formula which is there inside the body. What is there, the feeling which you have, inside you, and then you are able to spread the joy to people, not the bottle. It is never about the bottle. It's about the feeling which you get, and then you as a human being can spread. That's what that comes from understanding of human behavior, and then the way you behave in a society and community determines who you are, and that makes the bond much more, as we said, that not just me and my family, what do I do to my neighborhood, what do I do to my community. These are the things which actually makes brands and organizations far more relevant, and then make them march towards finding their own purpose in life.
मम्मी नाराज तो होने ही वाली। वो तो चाहती है कि मैं डॉक्टर ही बनूं। इसने हॉलीडेज खत्म और बोर्डिंग स्कूल शुरू। एक दिन भी एक्स्ट्रा रुकने नहीं दिया। मम्मी भी ना। मम्मी ने अपनी लाइफ अपने आप ही बनाई। 18 साल की थी जब उनके फादर ने उन्हें घर से निकाल दिया। अकेले रहने का तो सोचने से भी डर लगता है। मैंने अपने पापा को कभी देखा नहीं, और मेरी असली माँ बहुत बीमार रहती थी। उनके बारे में सिर्फ एक ही दिन याद है जो मैं कभी भुला नहीं पाती। एक दिन कुछ लोग आए और उन्हें एम्बुलेंस में ले गए। फिर वो कभी वापस ही नहीं आई। फिर एक दिन मम्मी आई। बहुत प्यार से मुझे अपनी गोद में बिठाया और मुझे अपने घर ले गई। तबीयत खराब थी तो पूरी रात मेरे साथ बैठी रही। सुबह मम्मी ने एक सुंदर सी रेड फ्रॉक पहनाई, मेरे लिए ढेर सारे चिप्स बनाए। मम्मी के साथ 10 साल हो गए। अब तो मम्मी मम्मी कम और दोस्त ज्यादा बन गई। संडे हम दोनों का फेवरेट दिन है। बालों में तेल लगाने के बाद दोपहर में मेरा फेवरेट लंच, कड़ी चावल, और रात में डर लगता है, पर मम्मी होती है ना तो नहीं लगता। ये है मेरी मम्मी, है ना प्यारी। मैंने लाइफ में इतने प्रॉब्लम्स देखे, कितना कुछ सहा है, फिर भी उन्होंने हमेशा मेरा ख्याल रखा है। सिविक्स बुक में तो लिखा है कि सबके लिए बेसिक राइट सेम होते हैं, फिर मम्मी को क्यों नहीं है? इसलिए मैं डॉक्टर नहीं, लॉयर बनूंगी, मेरी मम्मी के लिए।
So we all know that, Wix, and then what Wix stood for many years and kind of advertising. They used to do Gale Mein Kich Kich, Wix Vapor Up or Wix So from caring families, they have gone into caring communities and caring for society. It is just laddering your purpose, not being selfish, but try to really make it larger and larger, and then see how they can make an impact. Not just from families. Families they've been making for so many years. We all know what WIC stands for. And then there are many other products which have come in the same categories. But how do you be different from others? What is that the reason why you wanted to talk to families in the first place? So why do you want, that a little boy, who gets drenched in the rain, comes and then gives you a rose which is completely soaked and wetted, and then gives you, and then says, "Happy birthday, mommy." So that is the bond and care of mothers and children. And then the fathers who actually have become horses for their daughters in Vicks commercials. From there, being centered around the family and family caring, this is still a family caring. It's a mother caring for her daughter. But it has been set up in a way which is sure going to influence the community and society at large. So that is where the purpose gets evolved. And then you start thinking, not just me, my family, my community, my society, and then my city, my country, and humanity. And that is where you start zooming out from where you are, and then try to see a view which is 30,000 feet to 60,000 feet to 100,000 feet above. And it is not just for brands, it's individuals and companies also, as we can figure this out on what people have been doing.
Greatness, it's just something we made up. Somehow we've come to believe that greatness is a gift reserved for a chosen few, for prodigies, for superstars. And the rest of us can only stand by watching. You can forget that. Greatness is not some rare DNA strand. It's not some precious thing. Greatness is no more unique to us than breathing. We're all capable of it. All of us.
Again, somehow this brand actually managed to transcend from something, which is made for the athletes, for the professionals, to brings the athlete in you, so that you may not be running 100-meter race for your country, but you actually want to try and then become one. So it became an inspirational brand. From there, it became that it makes you feel like an athlete. So you may not, I will never go and then participate in any of those. But when I wear Nike shoes and then walk in a garden, I feel like one. And nobody can deny that from me. I feel like one. All of us in our mind, we are the best cricketers in the world. We know how to play that ball, correct? And then in our head, who can take and deny us that right? That product has been, that company has been built on simple premise that we want to make everyone feel like an athlete. When you wear the shoes and then you transform and then you feel like one. And then already, when you start warming up, suddenly, in your head, you transform. That is the magic of that product. And that is the purpose it serves in my life. Correct. I am a paunchy old 65-year-old man. Correct. I can't run, 100 meters without stopping 5 times. but it makes me feel that I am fit. That is the purpose that brand serves. No other brand serves that purpose in my head. They all make shoes, but why do I choose a brand which resonates with me and which empathizes, which connects with me? Is because it plays a role in my life. It is not walking. Walking, there are many shoes. It is not the role of, we make people walk comfortably. That's not what I want. There are many people to do that. It makes me feel something. And that's the purpose which Nike serves. It goes beyond consumers and then try to change the way human behavior. Everybody today walks. 30 years back, we have not seen either very old people used to walk or athletes, in the morning they used to run. But today, all the paunchy middle-aged men and old men like me, you see them hordes every morning on the busy streets to parks to society buildings. Everybody makes around. If they can't, at least they walk within their drawing rooms. That is the effect, a purposeful brand. It not only transforms the business and makes it as the most profitable enterprise ever, but it also transforms the life of people because it has a role to play in their life. I want to play one last one. I cannot even describe, this project took almost 2.5 years to complete. And each time we wanted to connect people from both the nations. There used to be some trouble. There's one mullah invaded in Lahore, so we had to cancel it. And next time when we had set up everything in New Delhi, there were 3 Indian soldiers who have been beheaded at the border of Kargil. So a lot of issues and problems. When we actually, when we were guarded by the army and then when we did this entire act together. And you cannot believe the kind of joy that Indians and Pakistanis had when they were actually seeing each other, interacting with each other and touching each other. And then we are so similar than what we think that we are different. We are not different. And then how a company or a brand can actually break the barrier of humanity, of 2 different religions coming together, 2 different nations, who have been enemies for so long, coming together and then spreading happiness and then enjoying that, together. So there cannot be any higher purpose a brand can serve or a company or an organization can serve than impacting humanity. And that is where the companies, that's the reason why, whatever happens in the world today, why the brands and business still exist. I mean, there have been pesticide controversies, but why people have forgiven them is because of their contribution towards what human behavior is all about. They actually play a role in your life. They have a purpose. And then what do? They actually make you feel happy and then make you spread that happiness. If you are happy, the world will know. Of course, it will know. It shows on your face. It shows the way you act, the way you behave with others. And you can actually find the happiest guy in an elevator who will be whistling and then singing and humming something. And then you see, and everybody else is brooding, saying that, oh shit, I have to go to the office again. And there is a guy who's happier. And then that guy makes your day. It is exactly like the commercial which we saw in the train, where everybody started laughing because one guy started laughing. It's the same thing. One happy guy can make 100 other people happier. One brooding guy will only sunk in his own brood. Nobody will share his brood. But happiness, everybody is willing to share. If you see all these brands, they have a purpose. There is a reason for them to exist. If there is no reason, then nobody would really want them in their life. Why do you need Uber? They solve the problem in your life. You don't have to own a car correct? A car will come and then pick you up and then let's solve the transport problem of urban India. And Nike, we have already discussed, Tata's. What is Tata's do and what role they play? And then why do we forgive them, for Air India treating people so badly? Still, we give them a chance. Anything nano catching fire, we still buy Tata cars. Why do we forgive them? Because they do greater good for the society. They live for the society and in the country. And then do you trust Tata or any other Indian business house? You trust Tata more than any other business. So that's the difference, Airbnb, why it has actually changed the way young people travel. We all worked very hard and then we felt very good when we were living in 5-star suites, costing lakhs of rupees per day, flying first class. And then today, even startup guys who are worth billion times more than you, they're on a backpack with their jeans and t-shirts. And then where do they live? They go and then share an Airbnb apartment. They don't want to live in 5-star hotels because things have changed. And then we all, feel that we don't belong to a place because we go stay in a 5-star hotel, which looks the same, sit in a taxi, which looks the same, and then eat in restaurants, which are similar to what you eat anywhere else. Then where is the experience of going to anywhere? Today you go to Singapore, or you go to San Jose, or you go to Moscow, or you go to Hyderabad. What is the difference? Same glass facades, same buildings, same Toyota cars as your cabs. Everything is the same. What is the difference? How do you experience a place? That was the insight on which, because Airbnb has born, because they serve a purpose in my life, they allow me to belong to a place and explore that place. I feel very good about it. Why do we like our childhood travel to our grandparents' place? Because it allows you to explore everything. You feel that your grandparents' place is your native place. It's not your birthplace, but your parents' birthplace. But still, because you belong there, it gives you enough time to explore everything around. And that is what makes a bond between you and the place. And that is the experience which no 5-star hotel, even today, can offer you, which, an Airbnb offers you. They serve a certain purpose in your life. Therefore, they exist. Otherwise, these companies would have not been existed. There are so many companies which have not existed. They have gone, Kodak gone, Canon existed in a different form. And then you see all the old photo image companies, they've all gone. They become absolutely irrelevant. Unless you define that my role is to celebrate the imagination of people. What did the iPhone did when they came up with a better camera? They celebrated the photographer in you. They never said that I have got a better lens. They celebrated people as creative people, and then you make great pictures, not my camera, not my phone. So they have given, and Apple's purpose is that empower you with creativity. And that's what they do. Anybody who holds a stylus and an iPad, you feel that you are the most creative person. You doodle, you use all the apps, you color it, and then you think that you are very creative. So that is where the entire purpose is all about. And then you see a lot of not only brands, they're individuals. These are few because, they're most famous guys. They have a purpose in life. Dhirubhai Ambani had the greatest purpose in his life. I want to make my shareholders richer. By God, even now, is that happening or not? He never said that I will make the society better. His purpose of existence is to make the people who put in money into his business, make them richer. Kalam has a purpose. Hussein found his purpose very late. Even Kalam found his purpose very late. Premji found his purpose, not in the first a decade of his existence. He was making computers like anybody else, software, hardware. But suddenly he found his passion, and then the contribution which he makes to education and children in this country, it's not parallel to anything. Probably he spends more money than any of the states spend in government money in their own states. Probably next to government of India, he spends more money on education, educating children. So if you, as an individual, as an organization, or as a brand, if you find a purpose and that purpose has a place in people's life, they connect with you. If people connect with you, organizations exist, brands exist. And then if people connect with you, you as a person exist. If you cannot connect with your own children, they will abandon you and then go. In your old age, you are a loner because you are not relevant to anyone. So you have to serve a purpose in your children's life. You have to serve a purpose in your family's life. You have to serve a purpose in members of your neighborhood. You have to serve a purpose in the society, and then you have to serve a purpose of greater humanity. Then you will become whatever. And then we may not find all the purposes, and it evolves at times. Not overnight you think that, this is my purpose, this is my rallying call, and it evolves as I have mentioned in the case of Nike, how it evolved from being a shoe for the people who run, to from there to make you feel like an athlete. It won't make you an athlete, but make you feel like an athlete. So that's the by and large, what I wanted to share. And then I just wanted to make it simpler, closer to life, that we all know all this. We all do this every day. And when it comes to organizations, or when it comes to brands, we don't apply the same thing which we individually do. If you were to do that, if you were to humanize your organization, if you were to humanize your own brands or your own products, and then the way you treat the consumers, they are not consumers, they're fellow human beings. And I wonder, why I get paid so much of money, because businessmen think that I understand people. If the same person were to go and then ask his mother, she would say that I understand everyone. I understood my children, I understood my extended family. I've done so much. That's the ability everyone has. It's not a complicated rocket science. It's just that the lens with which we see the world needs to change. And then you will find a purpose individually. And unless a founder's purpose finds a purpose in his existence, he cannot find a purpose in his business. That's as simple. If entrepreneurs find a rallying call in their life, it starts reflecting in the organizations they build. It starts reflecting in the kind of brands they build. Thank you. Any questions? I'm happy to take.
Yes, we'll have the Q&A, sir. Thank you so much. Thank you so much, sir. I think that's a very interesting presentation that you have made, although it has taken a little more time than we have budgeted for. But it very succinctly drives home the point that as individuals, we take a lot of actions, and those actions benefit much beyond ourselves, much beyond our family, much beyond our neighborhood, and much beyond our own society. Similarly, the brands also will have to take actions and humanize their actions. Thank you so much. I request very quickly Professor Prasad to come in for cluster number 1. So we received a lot of questions from the participants. We have landscaped these questions and curated them to some extent, and divided them into 2 clusters. First cluster of questions will be taken up by Professor Prasad, and then I'll come back for second cluster of questions. Over to you, Professor Prasad.
Thank you, Professor Rao. Thank you, sir. Through different narratives, you have driven home the point. It was fairly general at the beginning, but I think as it went forward and forward, it came in and reiterated from different places that it has to start with you and then the business. Thank you very much. Let me start with an associated question to make it a bit more clear to the audience. It's also part of the question. Purpose and passion. Passion is something that particularly when we are young, we have our strengths. Somebody is good at math, somebody is good at music, and then we make career choices out of that, and then we have purpose. So how do we put these two things, position these two things, situate these two things? What was your response to that, sir?
The passion is all about what do you want to do. Purpose is all about what can you do for me. So purpose need to find a place in the receiver's life. Then they accept you. If your passion has no purpose, in people's life, for instance, you want to climb Mount Everest, that is your passion, and every day you break your bones and then come back home. It has no purpose in your mother's existence. It has absolutely no impact on her. So if your passion way to actually gets converted into a purpose, then the purpose is not, the passion is you wanted to ride your bike. And the purpose way to be little higher. And then you say that you want to climb Mount Everest as the first biker from India. Then your mother will be very proud. Every day you come with a broken bone, and then she will nurse you with pride, because you are serving a pride in her life and then giving her a pride. So that's a purpose for which she is willing to do whatever you want, and then she will encourage you. Passion is all about what you want to do, and then purpose is all about what impact or what place you can find in some other's life.
Excellent, sir. I think you put it very much in perspective and also builds upon this entire narrative about purpose. Something is something that belongs to me and something which is more centric to the other. And then where do the twain meet?
Absolutely.
Okay, sir. The second question, now I'm combining a number of questions due to the paucity of time, is, Satya Nadella shifted Microsoft's mission from computer on every desk and every home to empower every person and every organization on the planet to achieve more. Many times we hear these kind of things, and increasingly more today. I mean, it was not so much maybe 2 decades back, but increasingly today we know about people who try to bring in purpose into various statements which are organizational, whether it is mission or whether it is purpose. But when it comes to the execution, on the communication side, it seems to go in very smoothly. But when the organization gets built up, when the environment, internal environment, the external environment interact, things don't seem to go that way. Now, what is your take on this, and what do you think will happen on this?
See, you cannot fake anything, correct? You cannot fake your beliefs, correct? And your actions are a reflection of, this is the very first thing I said. What you are is a consequence of what you do, and what you do reflects who you are. And Microsoft with Bill Gates saying that I want a computer on everybody's table was a huge purpose. Had he served that purpose? Of course he had served. And then now the company wanted to take a purpose which is much higher, and then the scale is much higher, and time will tell whether they will achieve it or not achieve it. But you must have, for instance, there was a time when Tata Indica was the largest taxi in the country. Largest fleet of cars were Indicas of every taxi. And then they had the largest fleet of taxis in the country. They also had the telephone numbers and data about every driver who drives a taxi, and every organization, every individual who calls for a taxi. Why they have not, they had an opportunity to convert that into a Uber. Why they did not solve that problem? Because Tata Motors at that time saw their purpose of existence is to make cars, not to provide transportation to people, mobility to people. The moment you shift focus from I want to make cars to I want to provide mobility solution, then you can afford to do anything which helps people. Then you are serving a larger purpose than making a car. Because everybody makes a car, but what can you do which is different from others? And then what purpose you serve in my life? When you provide mobility to me whenever I want mobility, I welcome Uber. That's the reason why there is affinity. We curse them 10 times because there is a lot of demand for them, but still we forgive them because they serve a purpose in your life. And that is what the transition and what we call as transformation It is not digital transformation, it's transformation of values, transformation of purpose, transformation of understanding the behavior of a society at that point in time, of humanity at that point in time, and making it relevant. Purpose can remain the same, articulation can change, and then the delivery mechanisms can change.
Excellent, sir. What you're also perhaps trying to say is that if there are organizations which make these purpose statements or communicate these purpose statements and don't deliver on that, it won't work with consumers. Is that what you're trying to say, sir?
Absolutely. You can't say that I stand for sustainability and then dump your polluted oil in the Black Sea, and you will be caught within no nanosecond. And then gone are the days of Union Carbide. And then people are learning lessons. And then you cannot fake what you are not. And if it is coming from within you, of course you can stand and make it happen. And if it is forced, and if people are not believers, the people who work in the company are not believers of that vision, and if then they will not find, what is consumers or followers? Why do companies exist? Because so many people buy their products. Why? Because they believe in what you are doing, and then reason why you are doing. The entire question of what, how, and why. And then if they believe in that, and believers of your value, of whatever which you do, if people believe in that, probably they will buy your product more than anybody else. First, you have to make me believe that you stand for sustainability, and then do things for sustainability. I, as an individual, I'm also concerned about the world. Therefore, both will meet. If you just say for fake things and then do one event of planting 100 trees and then say that I'm the most sustainable company in the country, it won't work. So that's the transformation game. First, internally you need to transform before you put out a purpose. For instance, when I launched Tata Capital, we positioned it and then we given a purpose for it to say that hum kare wahi jo aapke liye sahi. That we do only things which are right for you. Only Tata can say that. But Ratan Tata said, you cannot, because I have got so many people on the ground who are not my employees in a financial company. All the agents are not my Tata employees. How do I convert them? How do an agent say that, no, this Tata loan is not right for you? Why don't you take HDFC loan or somebody else's loan? They give you better terms for your requirement. Unless you do that, that line will never be accepted by people. And then he made us wait for 2 years and then converted that as a rallying call. And then so many training sessions have been done to agents and employees down the line. And then he made us launch that brand. Tata Capital, one of the most powerful financial brands in the country today. So you have to live what you're saying. It has to be true. If it is not true, then it won't find a place in anyone. People know who's real and who's fake.
Fantastic, sir. I think you've given about what is the setting today and what will work today, and that purpose is necessary and it has to be defined in today's world. You've also taken us through the time spectrum, and you've given us a wonderful example of how it can be made to happen, not the examples of people who may say something and do something else. Excellent, sir. I think this covers a wide variety of the questions that we have. I hand it over to Professor Sudhakar.
Thank you very much. We are looking like we are moving very, very fast now. So I will also take only one question, and then I'll request the members who have questions, they can directly ask Pops about their questions. You can please raise your hands. In the meantime, sir, the question number one is, how can purpose-driven organizations attract and retain talent that shares their values?
You answered your own question. Correct.
How do we identify them? How do we do that in reality?
From training your own people and then finding the believers, and believers will always propagate your brand. Correct. And if I believe that Toyota is the best car because it helps the fuel efficiency and then green whatever ethos, and then it is the most sustainable car in the world today. If I believe that, I am going to make 10 other people believe that. So I become a propagator. So if you actually if you find the believers in your organization and then who believe in similar values, those guys will become your ambassadors. And then they in turn convert more believers because your immediate boss believes in that, you believe, not because a corporate guy or a chairman believes in that, because there is much more humanity in that and then much more relatability to that. That's how an organization changes, or that's not how an organization culture is built. Unless an organization culture is built inside, you cannot go and then propagate to the outside world that this is how we can treat you, because it has to be true, not by one individual, but by the entire organization. It must stand by it. If it does not stand by it, then you will have problems.
Great.
And that is what is happening with Air India. Correct? Air India believes at a corporate level, believes in all the values and ethos, and they always did. What is happening is the people do not believe in that. They don't act upon that. And then therefore, those claims are only empty claims, and then people will not forgive you for that.
Great, sir. Amazing. I think we need to identify those believers, and belief is infectious. If it is true, inherently true, then there is a culture that takes place, and then the rest of the things happens. When I say rest of the things, the magic happens after that. The second question, I request Dr. Jagannath Rao to raise his question. While he does that, I'll take one more, which is already with me. How can companies actually balance their desire to create positive impact, that is positive social impact, with their need to generate profits for their shareholders?
So there is Harvard's media study and a lot of studies are there since last 15 years that purposeful brands are more profitable because you can acquire a customer by just a belief. If there is a belief between both, a transaction of whatever kind, whether it is 1 crore or whether it is 100 rupees, a transaction will happen because you have similar values. And it has been proven that purpose-driven brands are more profitable. And it is, I'll give you a small example of when we did the Hamara Bajaj campaign, the second Hamara Bajaj campaign. There was a lot of hesitation whether they should be doing or not. Because of the transformation of the company, we said we must be relevant, we should be relevant to the next generation. And when we did that campaign, it had a positive impact on Bajaj Auto. Bajaj Auto shares went up because you propagated certain values which are unchanged. And that, how can you say that a campaign which has no sales objectives, can actually make money for you? So that's the power of hanging on to certain values and having a purpose which can actually find a place in people's hearts and lives. So that translates into businesses. All the sustained businesses, if you see top 50 brands in the world, 30 to 35 of them are purpose driven. Be it Apple, be it Microsoft, be it Google, be it any of those companies. All of them have got a great purpose, and then they serve larger than what they do. Google did not stop with search. Apple is not stopping with an iPhone. And Tesla is not stopping with a car. They're going into the space. Amazon has not stopped with retail. They're also going into space. They're the most powerful software company in the world. They make more money out of that than retail. Retail, they lose money still. Correct? So these are the examples of how a purpose can actually elevate and increase your scope of business in this world and your scope of influence and impact on humanity. And then that drives profitability. The more people believe in you, the more people buy your services. The more people buy your services, more profitable you are. You don't have to discount because they believe in your product. If they don't believe in your product, you have to discount your product. And if you're not discounting your product, that means that you are making profit. And you have to make profit to sustain in this world? How long you can cut your own legs by offering 50% discount? Then you are not a brand, then you are reduced from a brand to a product.
Amazing, amazing, sir. I think in brief, what you said is that purpose elevates your scope and it drives your profit. That's amazing. It gets to more people and more people will start believing in you and more of them buy your products. Simple, amazing. There's another question which one of our friends is trying to ask in the question box, and that is, what is the difference between being purposeful and being conscientiousness?
I mean, you can be conscious about many things which are happening unless you act upon it.
Yeah.
There is no meaning of having the knowledge of that, correct? And then we have a lot of senses, and then we receive so many signals. Unless we act upon that, there is absolutely no impact of that. You listen to a nice beat, and then if your feet does not, join the beat, there is no purpose which will be there to the music, correct? So each one, when you feel, you must act upon that. And then that is where the entire thing, where we started the journey, starts with you. And then if you are conscious about children infants die because mothers cannot afford to actually feed milk to their children. Mother's milk is very rare in poor families. So if you are conscious about that, what are you doing about that? So if you are contributing to Human Milk Bank, which costs 15,000 rupees, a bank, and then go to every maternity ward and then make sure that they have a human milk bank with them, and saving lives of 5 children, your consciousness about your wife not being able to feed your own baby, and then you are feeling about that will actually benefit a lot of other people. Then that becomes your purpose, not just your child, but any other child. That is where you go beyond yourself to something else. And then the more purpose which you find, which is deeper and then higher, the larger your sphere of impact and influence. And that is not for your own selfish gain. That is for changing humanity. And then we take so many resources from this planet. What do we leave behind? If we are not leaving behind, we are a parasite. We have to not only leave behind resources which we have taken, but we also need to contribute some more resources for the souls we cannot contribute. So that's the, if you actually talk about consciousness.
Yes. Thank you, sir. Thank you very much on that. I think the narrative is getting deeper and deeper, as you also mentioned that whatever purpose is there deep within your mind, you will discover that, and then the impact goes higher and higher. I think that sums up in your own words the beautiful way you are narrating. I think this is striking a very, very interesting chord with what we as an organization, as ICFAI, we do. It is not that we admit students and conduct exams and give them the degrees. That anyway happens. That is a process probably. And probably we have one of the best processes in place in terms of rigor, in terms of attention to detail, and also making sure that there is no escape route in terms of any malpractice or in terms of any lenience anywhere in the system. But that's all about the process. But the higher purpose is basically to develop individuals who can be very responsible and useful to the society and nation at large. I think that's where our purpose is also. Every action that we take, if it goes beyond the immediate purpose of a business or immediate result orientedness, then I think it goes and applies to helping a larger number of people beyond the realms of business, that is beyond direct customers. I think indirect benefits, if we can look at, cite it, and then target that, then I'm sure we are trying to achieve our purpose or trying to make more and more connections with larger audience that we have in this country. I think that's a fantastic way you have mentioned, sir. The other question I will ask, and probably this is the last question, and this is basically what are some of the common mistakes that these companies who want to while trying to adopt a purpose-driven approach, what are the common mistakes that they make, and how can they avoid those mistakes?
So they think that, the same thing, everybody is saying purpose, purpose, purpose. Therefore, let me adopt one. Which may not be the person who's driving or the person who is actually running the company or owns the company. His conviction and then his belief is what gets reflected in what they do. So if that conviction is not there, and then if you try to make it fake, or you reduce a purpose to a mission or a vision, correct? Or something, which is more materialistic, then that selflessness will go, and then you yourself will pat your back, but the world will be laughing at you. So it needs to have that, if you wanted to make an impact on people's life, you need to be selfless. And then if you, money comes before your work only in dictionaries. Money always follows when you do your work, correct? In real life. So if you have a greater purpose, and if you're serving millions of people, and then becoming an indispensable brand or organization or individual in their life, why will they leave you? They won't leave you. So therefore your business exists, and therefore your profitability is intact. Therefore you can forecast your profits without any hassles. And then you can survive any turmoil because your business is built on belief, not on market realities.
Great, great. Your business is built on beliefs and not market realities. That's an amazing thing. And we'll request Shweta Anand to ask her question. That's the last question from an audio from a member who is participating. Shweta, please go ahead.
Yes, sir. Thank you so much, sir. Good evening, sirs. So my question is how layoff impact branding, and we in the recent past we have seen companies as great as Google laying off employees, and do such activities defies the very principle of branding because they still remain to be one of the employers of choice, one of the best places rather to be work into. So does all these activities impact in some way, and what kind of impact it is having on branding, sir, ultimately?
It is, some of the layoffs, must have taught some lessons to all the tech giants in the recent past. You have been seeing a lot of videos on social media about the people who have been laid off. They're actually talking to people, prospective customers or prospective employees, and then they're actually putting out how a employer of the year would become redundant, and next day morning, previous evening, she has received a medal from her boss, and then next day morning she has got termination letter. And then she went on, it has become viral. So I mean, they must keep certain values, as I said right at the beginning. If I have 5 children, and if my income does not support 5 children, I cannot kill 2 children, or throw them out of my house because you can only feed 3. The same thing goes for an organization. We all say, and we all take pledge that we are all one family in the organization. We share things. I'm a Googler, I have, a badge, I carry a bag, I carry a lot of other goodies with me, and then make my family believe that I'm part of the organization. How can all that change when you boot me out when difficult time comes? So, I mean, at the end of the day, it's not that the company is losing money. Company is making money, certain division might be losing money. It is like the AI entire team in Facebook. They might be losing their jobs, but they won't, because the belief of the company is so high in them, they won't lose the job. And then some other guys will lose the job because those guys are losing money for all the other employees because of the meta failure. So when you actually see an organization's image, that your people are your strength, your people are your weakness. If they don't believe in what you are doing, they become the ambassador of propagating, saying that you are only a show off. So it affects branding, it affects the company's image. It may even affect your share price. If you lay off 10,000 people in India, and the next day morning, probably it will have an effect on Dalal Street. You'll be stupid not to consider that before you lay off 10,000 people at a go. So it will have an impact. And only thing, if you believe in yourself, if you believe in your own purpose, then you will do everything to protect your own belief. And that is where, like a good father or a mother who will not give away their children because they don't have money, they actually beg, borrow, steal, and then feed their children. That's what great organizations do.
Great, sir. Great. Thank you so much for so patiently answering all the questions. And if you look closer, at face value, some of these questions appear that they are alike. But when you go deeper, there are meanings, buckets, and connotations that are important for us to understand. And thank you very much for clearing all those things for us. Most of these things are very, very clear now in terms of what we have to understand and take away, especially from this session in the realms of purpose. Why do you exist? We started with, yes, we exist for a purpose, and some of us find it early in the life and some of us find it a little later. But the moment we find a purpose, our impact looks like growing much faster, larger, and wider in its impact. That is super. In our understanding from you, it is the strong or common shared values that we build relationships, and that relationship becomes much stronger and lasts longer. And it is same, not just with individuals, but also with organizations as well as brands. And every time there was a complex problem, I think life has given solutions, or life has given lots of hints. So if we seek solutions from real life, I think most of the problems can be looked at differently and also addressed very differently. And the third and a very interesting point is that, which is a common thread, is when your actions go beyond yourself, they go towards impacting, helping, touching several other hearts and homes, not just in your neighborhood, not just your family, but also in your society, country, and humanity at large. I think this has been very beautifully explained by various examples and the advertisements and the videos that you have shown. They are very, very powerful thoughts. They are not just advertisements. They are powerful thoughts, powerful because they have a very strong purpose embedded into their actions, and that's what is communicated in those advertisements. Thank you very much for that, sir. A moment of happiness can bring people together. It is not just a product there, but it is true in our own real life. A moment of happiness will always bring people together. A marriage brings people together. It's an opportunity to exhibit happiness. Somebody has done something and achieved. It's a moment of happiness. All the family comes together, gets together, eats some sweets and all. Well, that gives an idea for some other product, which you are not talked about, but there's a brand which does that as well. So it is the larger purpose that brings people together, like the way this particular advertisement has said, more about similarities than about the differences that we have between India and Pakistan, as an example. So amazing, memorable campaigns that has driven home the purpose of these organizations, purpose of these brands. And all these examples have gone beyond even in the current day examples of COVID behavior, post-COVID behavior, layoffs. I think everything has been covered with this concept. In the previous session here, we had one guest who was talking about his favorite book, Viktor Frankl's book. I think there we have some of these concepts of how to find purpose for not just individuals, but also for organizations. Those who are purpose-driven would have a greater and meaningful or satisfied journeys in their businesses as well as in their careers and lives. I think it sums up together. But there are two things that I would like to finally say and close this session. This is an amazing session, and I have already crossed a lot of time that has been given to me. One point is that being most authentic, be true to yourself, And so therefore, people will believe you. Any campaign or any action, any individual or an organization takes, it has to be true. Second, it has to be believable. And third, it has to be simple. So you are what you think, you are what you believe, and you do those things, which is a reflection of what you believe. I think with these great thoughts, we would like to close the session, and thank you so much, sir.
Thank you.
Amazing. So, ladies and gentlemen, thank you for joining, and it's my great privilege to close this session and invite you for the next. That is on Friday next, on 10th of March. We are going to have Mr. T.N. Hari, who is going to speak about the story of India's startup ecosystem from independence until now. So see you at 6:30 p.m. on 10th of March. Till then, take a good look at all these campaigns and understand purpose and apply it to your own self and see if your organization is also applying it in their charter. Thank you so much and good night.